Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth Parks, the President and CMO of Parks Associates. We just hosted our 28th annual Connections Conference about a month ago and hosting our Home Services session next week, along with our Connected Health Summit virtual sessions. Today, we are so excited to welcome Cardinal to join us and thank them for their sponsorship of these events, along with our future video conference. I'm excited to welcome Sean O'Neill, the Vice President of Applications and Engineering of Cardinal, a new company that has just been acquired by FPT. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sean. It's an exciting time for the company. Please go ahead and share a little bit more about your role in the business, and then we can talk a little bit more about this new acquisition.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks for having me here today. So my name's Sean O'Neill. I'm the Vice President of Applications Engineering at Cardinal Peak. We're a product professional services company based mostly in Colorado. And we were acquired by FPT Software, a Vietnamese-based company, last October. And now, previously, we were 100 engineers, and now we're 30,100 engineers. So it's pretty exciting time, and now we offer a much wider breadth of services and solutions to the market, which is great for us and our customers.
Well, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit more about some of the specific markets that you serve. I know FPT is an enormous company, and so it's definitely an exciting time for you all coming under that large umbrella. Tell us some of these core areas that you all are focused on serving.
Okay. So traditional markets for Cardinal Peak have been in smart connected devices. So from hardware, firmware to applications and mobile and cloud. So basically video and audio, specifically around smart connected homes, but also for kind of prosumer type devices, headsets, and OTT streaming services.
Okay, so that's a lot that you just mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit more specifically about some of these new software services and exactly what are the things that you all are doing here in the background for this hardware?
Okay, so quite often, mostly it's engineering. So whether it be on the edge with like module design and firmware development to basically cloud-based applications, a lot of them around IoT, and a lot of them are consuming Amazon kind of web service offerings. And then on the consumer side, on the video and audio side, a lot of consumer devices. So headsets, virtual reality. But now with FPT, we're moving into spaces more on the healthcare side. So connected care, connected auto, and then a lot of kind of supply chain manufacturing execution systems. Really just kind of really widening out the breadth of areas where we can bring solutions to bear for customers. In general, we're building custom solutions for those customers. So not selling them a product, but helping them develop a product or solution for their customers.
And so maybe you can expand a little bit more on some of the challenges that you see these companies coming to you, for. Is it taking a product that is not connected and making it connected, or is it perhaps enhancing something that's already connected to have further applications to it, or both maybe?
It's both, but quite often they'll have a legacy device where they feel there's a market need to bring this and connect it to the internet to give it more functionality or more configurability. Quite often adding a mobile application to it to make the whole service kind of more valuable and sticky to our customer. And with that, they can turn it from like a one-time sale to like a more SaaS model where they might be making $2 or $3 a month for the service that they're now offering for this connected product. Where before it was really a perpetual license. They would sell it once, make some revenue there, and then they would lose touch with the customer. I think the other part of it is they keep connected with that customer, and they can see how the customers are using various features and be able to focus, at what area of that potentially feature set they should focus on to enhance customer value.
Okay, so very interesting. So you are literally helping these companies enable them to create the service revenue that they maybe weren't weren't getting before in the previous life of that product.
Yeah, enhancing it and then testing those features to see which ones really stick. So there's that group of customer, which is really just taking existing legacy products and connecting it and enhancing the feature set. But then there's where we work together with our customer to basically help develop like an end-to-end new product with them. And we can do end-to-end everything from hardware, firmware to cloud. Or if they have a particular competency in one of those areas, we would do some subset of that. But understanding the whole product lifecycle for developing a service that has components on the edge and in the cloud and in the mobile application really lets us understand like end to end how things should work and understand edge conditions and corner cases where solutions could get into trouble and have a poor customer experience.
And do you think there's anything specific across all these different product categories that is top of mind for all these companies? Is it privacy and data security? Is it the data that's being exchanged and be able to leverage that for other uses? Are there any kind of similarities that you see across these different categories?
And everyone has to offer a very secure kind of like solution, right? That's more and more in everyone's minds right now, that they can get into a lot of trouble and really get some negative brand exposure if they have particular security issues. But I think there's a general deep feeling in the industry that getting that data, specifically user data and application usage data, into the cloud at a large scale so that they can understand how people are using and consuming these features and services, and to then be able to focus resources on areas where it really looks like there's a payback for spending money in that particular area to enhance feature sets and things like that.
Yeah, really interesting. So you all are doing a lot in the sense of enabling those services, but then as we know, data is becoming quite valuable for companies. It really is looked at as an asset now in the sense of, just all that can be understood from the data, and like you said, different ways to use the data that may help with that product development. So very interesting there. Are there any other specific things that you want to mention about some of the services that you're working on, particularly as you come under the FPT software family?
Well, yeah, I mean, I might have had two or three kind of data science experts when I was just Cardinal Peak, but now we have basically an 800-person kind of data science AI ML team. So when we have particular data kind of challenges or interesting potential opportunities, we can focus teams very quickly on kind of like doing POCs to prove out whether or not there is the sufficient data to start to do some machine learning and some AI work, and or start to work with the customer to say, hey, we need this kind of particular data in order to be able to make this type of operational decision or targeting for advertising or something like that. So it's really, we can just bring so much more power to a particular problem. And then we've got the pricing options now, right? We're not just purely onshore, but we're also near shore and offshore. So we can start to work on different cost models for different customers.
Well, that's great. And maybe tell me a little bit more about some of your goals for the second half of the year, particularly as you all are getting into the, I imagine the integration between the two companies really moving along at this point, and what the second half of the year brings for you all.
So what was neat about this is like they were just a much larger version of what Cardinal Peak kind of does. So it just gives us a whole lot more power in the particular areas that we're already kind of focused on. But what we're really interested in, and it's a lot of hype around Gen AI and things like that, but we have now the power, and the customers are really focused on how can I bring to bear like generative AI or ML to help me basically get a better business outcome. And it's now real versus just pure POCs, or proof of concepts. So we can start to focus some research and then some real product development on how can we actually get some of these workloads out into the field to basically improve services and provide more value to customer experiences.
Very interesting. Well, and the AI and machine learning is, I mean, the applications are really insane if you look at the breadth of what all can happen there. So, where would you say we are in the stages of AI and machine learning being rolled out? I mean, AI and ML isn't really new, but this generative AI with ChatGPT really, taking off and getting a lot of attention has created a lot more competition in the market as well. But how would you describe where we're at from your perspective?
I mean, I don't have exactly on this hype cycle like where things fit, but my sense is like on the ML side, especially like when we're doing image recognition and classification on the edge, like that's kind of coming down into, is it the not the trough of despair, but it's like really starting to get deployed in real world applications. I still kind of feel like the Gen I is on the early stages where we're really trying to, see where it sticks and where the value could come from it, and then understand the true cost. Like, it's not free to be able to custom train an AI model, or to basically be able to focus on a particular enterprise's problem. So I think we're learning what's valuable and then understanding that value, like what's it actually going to cost me as I roll it out into the real world and into production.
Well, and that cost is really important because I think a lot of companies are trying to determine the level of investment and whether it's resources, time, or money to be able to have additional capabilities, and then what's the ROI that's going to come back. Is there any way that you're able to explain this to your different clients when you're talking to them? Because clearly they're making an investment to change their products to do
That's
something different than they have in the past.
that's a big part of what our proposals generally include is a cost analysis based on kind of what the problems like they need solved, that kind of the data that's kind of the input to the problem, and then based on our experience like how these models will run. And I think one of the big things that Cardinal Peak's good at is like we have a lot of edge experience. And in fact, I think we were founded mostly around our kind of edge embedded hardware kind of expertise. And then we've added into the cloud and mobile side of things. So figuring out where to run certain workloads, like should this particular classification be being done on the edge, and only when that particular occurrence happens do we do something in the cloud. Um, that's a real benefit that we bring to the table. And what's interesting is FPT does the same thing, but multiple orders of magnitude more expertise in both areas.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like it's you guys are in a great position. It seems like you're going to be able to scale with all these resources behind with the parent company, and we really appreciate the continued support of Parks Associates research, of our events that are covering the connected home space, the entertainment space, the connected health space. I mean, you all are doing so many great things, and it's really an honor to speak with you today. We appreciate your support. I want to let you have the last word here in sharing, anything you'd like to say about where the future is headed for the business or for the industry.
Well, I think AI is a bit scary on its own, but just it's also like very exciting and interesting to see where it's going to be able to be applied, and what the resulting solution is going to be. And it takes, I think, a lot of experimentation and a lot of work to kind of hone it in and tune it for a particular industry or a particular problem. And it's just going to be super exciting to see like what types of problems do we solve, and like what's the payback or what's the value to the world and to customers when we go ahead and do all this extra work, and have it being done all the time by these models versus potentially humans having to do all the work all the time.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you again for your support. I look forward to seeing you at our next virtual events as well as in person. And for our audience, if you're interested in getting in touch with Cardinal Peak, please feel free to follow them on LinkedIn. And of course, Sean O'Neill, available for any questions if you have any. Thank you again, Sean, for your time and for your great support.